Ladies and gents, I'm Rex and this is Kerbal Scuffed Program 1, Sacrifice for the Sake of Science by the channel martincitopants. Welcome back to KSP. Today we'll be collecting science and performing redacted. Many Kerbals were harmed in the making of this video. Okay. Welcome back to KSP. What he did one before that, I thought this was the first one. Oh well, this is program 1, so I guess we'll start with this one. This is some kind of a space simulator. Yeah, I haven't seen much of Space Simulator before, so it's gonna be fun. And Martin, this is one of the newer videos, October 2020, so a year ago. So his newer videos, his humor are really great. So let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards in cards in here.
Hello again, Jeb here.
Hello there.
Today, we'll be playing the greatest space disaster simulator to ever hit virtual store shelves. A game dedicated to constructing your own grand scientific endeavors, like how many Kerbals makes up an adequate crush space for this lander. A game that requires full activation of your frontal lobe. A game where ethics, morality, and the safety of your subjects take a backseat to science, exploration, and getting that bread. And a game where the inevitable catastrophic failure is often better than the mission itself. You may think that NASA has had some pretty terrible disasters over the years, but they have nothing on the Bean space program's preliminary rocket testing. This little guy made some poor decisions with the last remaining fuel, and has just been sitting here on his space chair, all alone, orbiting the sun. And he's been here for the last 78 years. Poor lad. You might be wondering where I am right now. Well, I'm not on Kerbin. I'm also not on the moon. I'm not on Duna or Eve, not Drez, Bop, or Pol. Not even Tylo. Dickhead. I'm on a planet very, very far away. A planet orbiting an entirely different star to our own. An exoplanet. Proxima Centauri b. Hold on a minute.
Closest planet to us.
You might also be wondering how I got here. Well,
Yeah, this is literally the closest star and closest planet to us, I guess. Solar system to us.
it's quite a long story. We've got rockets, massive catastrophic explosions, intense nuclear radiation, antimatter containment, orb, touchy.
Wait a minute, is this some kind of a moon or something? This is a base, and that's a nuclear explosion. Oh, this is so good. If there is no atmosphere here, which is kind of makes sense, right? It could be that like how the moon is, right? A moon base, something similar to that. If there is no atmosphere, this is so fucking accurate, right? Because nuclear bomb, explosion would look like this, a massive ball just rising up. There would be no mushroom clouds, right? That only happens with the atmosphere. Without atmosphere, it would be just gigantic ball rising like this. Oh, okay. That's a bit mushroom type, but alright.
And encounters with KSP's Deep Space Kraken. So buckle up, fuckos, cause today we're going to the stars. But before we begin, some rules. As you probably know, KSP only has this star, and no real means of getting to any others, which means we'll need to add some mods.
There you go.
I'd like to demonstrate to both my PC and myself the concept of no pain, no gain. So today we're jamming as many mods as physically possible into the game. How many, you may be asking? Well, this many. Lots if you're a new player, but really not that many if you're a true blue KSP gamer. As a side note,
To be honest, that's not that many, right? I used to play Skyrim with 200 plus mods, so yeah.
lots if you're a new player, but really not that many if you're a true blue KSP gamer. As a side note, I tried desperately to get Realism Overhaul and Real Solar System to work properly with some form of progression to the warp drive, which is the only propulsion system that is actually fun to use for going interstellar distances. This would have made for an interesting challenge, as Earth is about 10 times larger than Kerbin, and much, much harder to orbit. What actually happened was I ended up with a horrible, unplayable, covered mess. Annoyingly, the way you're meant to play these mods is with RP1, a modified tech tree and contract system. However, this did not include a path to warp drive technology, so instead I used the community tech tree and hoped it would work. It didn't. I streamed this horrible, several hour-long suffering marathon, which ended in me restarting a save once after effectively being soft-locked from the game, and a second time after being cucked by several engine failures on my first try at an orbital flight.
Oh my god. I don't know why this is just dawning on me now, but this is a space simulator, right? So this is gonna have way too much detail, like, you know, different engines, how much, you know, fuel it has, right? If you do the math correctly or not, otherwise it would explode on landing. Holy shit, it's so good. It's a literal rocket science game right here. I don't know how much detail is going to be, right? Like how much option you might have to choose, how much calculation you might have to do. I don't know that, but concept is great.
Burn time, I guess.
Staging and lighting the
light it immediately.
engine failure.
Oh no! It's alright. It's alright, we got a gimbal.
Engine failure.
Oh my god, no. Are you kidding me? Oh no. I remember why I don't like this shoot. Because it's just a drogue shoot. It's not an actual parachute. Oh my god. Oh no. Alright. I'm sure getting warp drive to work in this mode while keeping the game playable is possible, but I clearly lack this KSP knowledge. So no Earth. Back to Kerbal. The mods that I actually have added add all sorts of cool and good stuff. New parts, new features, new planets, tweaks to science, and for actually getting to the other stars, we have acquired the warp drive. This way we'll get there within a few weeks instead of 800 years. Also, warp drives are cool. Okay.
I know I know this is kind of pedantic to say that, but he just said realism and he follows up with that warp drive. Okay.
Let us begin. So, it looks like we have a long road ahead of us. Our fledgling space program starts with a couple of bucks, some brave Kerbonauts, and several ex-war criminal rocket scientists. Our first rocket only has access to very basic parts. To access better parts, we must perform research and collect valuable data. In case you forgot, we have an exceedingly large pile of mods, meaning the tech tree now expands very nice and far. This is good because it gives us much more time for things to go terribly wrong. The warp drive itself is all the way at the end for a cool 28,000 science points. Our first technologies cost 5. Anyway, enough babbling. On to constructing. Our first rocket has one goal. To tackle this great challenge, the Bean space program has created the most powerful nugget to ever.
Martin is so good. Okay, somebody just walks up to some kind of, I don't know, let's say NASA, right? Just walk to space. Okay, what is the first fundamental of rocket science? You go up. Oh, okay.
Ever be launched. Its name, Obama Prism.
What?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love this visual. Look at that shit. I think Elon Musk plays this game whenever he does a SpaceX launch.
Very good. Great success. But how? Alright class,
Michael.
listen up. Today, we're talking about solid rocket boosters. Our great and powerful vehicle, Obama Prism, uses a wee little solid rocket booster to propel itself upwards. But what is a solid rocket booster? Well, a solid rocket booster is a booster that uses a solid fuel. I know. I wouldn't have figured that one out either. The solid fuel is made up of an oxidizing agent and a fuel. Think of it like a high-powered explosive that explodes gently.
Yeah.
When it's lit, the rocket burns this fuel and creates a very hot gas. Now Kevin, please remind the class about Newton's third law.
Basically, if it's a solid or not, if your fuel is, burning not chaotically like how bombs are, right? If it's not chaotic like that, it's gonna work as a fuel. That's what thumb rule. So you can use, that's why people say you can use nukes as fuel, fucking black holes as fuel, right? So you can use anything as fuel if it's just, steady. I don't know how else to say that. But basically, if it's not chaotic, right? Reaction is not chaotic. It can be used as fuel.
Law. Every action. Okay, Kevin, I'm gonna need you to be quiet. I did not ask. Anyway, Newton at one point was like, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Basically, push on something, and one point was like, every action...
When I push a pitch, the bitch pushes... Newton, he's added some chain or something here, bling.
Action has an equal and opposite reaction. Basically, push on something, and the thing pushes back. This principle is how literally everything moves. Your car pushes the ground, which pushes back on the car. An airplane pushes the air. The air pushes the plane. Simple. So, when the hot gas shoots out one end, what happens to the rocket? It goes forward. Shut up, Kevin! It goes forward in the opposite direction of the gas, thus creating thrust. So, when we smash that spacebar, the rocket goes up. Incredible. Class dismissed.
He's also losing mass, so that'll be it.
So, we've done our first launch, got our first bit of science, and completed our first contract. Very good. Next step is to leave the atmosphere of Kerbin and hopefully make it back in one piece. To do this, we'll need to create the most powerful rocket ever built. Obama Prism 2. It's a very complex and intricately engineered rocket. We get Obama Prism 1, then attach 4 more boosters to it.
The truck's... Oh, this is so good.
The boosters have no decouplers between them, so to get them to separate...
Look at this small scientists walking around. Oh my god, the small details. This is so good. It's like you're walking around in SpaceX on NASA's, I guess, base or something.
We'll use the next booster to explode the spent booster. You'll see what I mean. Let's launch. On our second great journey, we are once again launching our best and bravest pilot, Jeb. He's been around since the very beginning, along with Bill and Bob. A true staple of the KSP universe. Jeb is the first Kerbonaut any aspiring program manager launches. He's also the bravest the entire program has to offer. Okay. Smiling in the face of even the greatest catastrophe, and he's dead.
What the fuck? No, not that, Jeb. The face, look at that. Oh, no, don't show the picture. At least he was smiling. The black and white slow motion.
To those who have played this game before, you may just say, oh,
I should have known that coming. As soon as he was talking about Jab, like how Jab is just a great guy, he was always smiling, this and that. I should have known like something's coming.
Revert the flight and do it again. How? That's right, the game is set to hard, which means no reverting to mission assembly, no quick saving, and no crew respawning. So like Jeb is actually dead.
Yeah.
Forever. But why is Jeb dead? Okay, class, sit down and buckle your fuckles. In this lesson, we're doing aerodynamic stability, and what even is space anyway? So what actually happened? Well, if we rewind the video, you'll notice a minute and difficult to catch detail that led to Jeb's death. If you look really close, you can see he smashes into the water at several times the speed of sound. Interesting. But
Jeb's
why?
Dead, but interesting.
Passive aerodynamic stability. Okay. I want you to imagine a dart flying through the air.
Yeah.
The dart can only point in one direction, forward. Mass. If you try throwing a dart backwards, it'll just go and point forwards again.
Because of
this
mass.
Is because a dart has wings at the back and its mass at the front.
Yeah.
The dart is passively stable when flying forwards and unstable when flying backwards. Similar situation with the late Obama Prism 2. The mass is concentrated towards the front of the vessel where the capsule is, and the little wings act to keep it stable in the forward direction. Unlucky for us, this direction also happens to make the capsule very aerodynamic, i.e. it doesn't slow down. As we re-entered the atmosphere, the little reaction wheels in the capsule kept it pointing backwards, but once the air got thicker, it pushed on the wings and forced the ship into a nosedive. Once in this position, the craft acts very much like a dart and doesn't slow down enough to open the parachute. ending with Jeb smacking straight into the water at twice the speed of sound.
Well, at least
Rest
it
in
didn't
peace,
burn
Jeb.
up.
Before Jeb met with the ocean at Mach 2, he managed to fly completely out of the atmosphere, topping out at over 100 kilometers. In KSP, the atmosphere ends at exactly 70 kilometers. You can easily tell when you're there, because the music goes like... On Earth, it's a little less clear-cut, because there are technically air molecules all the way up past 400 kilometers,
Yeah.
but the generally agreed upon altitude that space begins
100.
is 100 kilometers, known as the Kármán line. So why is this important?
See, that's obviously differs from, I guess, place to place, but there is no direct, like, people usually have this kind of a mentality, like how you're in the ocean, like you're floating in the ocean, and suddenly there's a line, you come out and you're out of the ocean. That's not how the atmosphere works. People have this is mental. As soon as you hit 100-kilometer mark, there you go, no atmosphere. That's not the case. There's a reason why NASA constantly pushes the Hubble up. They have to use thruster to keep, Hubble up, because air molecules are constantly, slamming it down towards the Earth. Because there are always air molecules, it differentiates with place to place, but it kind of, slowly thins out, basically. It just blends out before you realize it. It's not a complete line.
Well, we'd like to get to orbit eventually, which means we'll need to be traveling really fast in one direction. Air doesn't like it when you go through it really fast, so we avoid the air altogether by going up nice and high. Air doesn't reach higher up because Kerbal's gravity pulls it all down to the surface. Also, Kevin, please just be quiet next time. The class is trying to learn. I didn't say anything, bro. Shut up! Just shut up.
I can hear you
Class
thinking. Launch 3.
Second launch down. Less successful than the first, but we still made money. Jeb may be dead, but we got that bread. Next up, we're actually going to invest our research into better parts to avoid our previous mistakes. Our next rocket is even more powerful than Obama Prism 2. Obama Prism 3. I'll just cut to the chase. Obama Prism 3 didn't make it. To orbit, that is. Don't worry, Valentina is still alive.
For now.
We didn't have enough fuel to reach orbit, so we turned around, ditched the tank, and splashed down in the water. Without exploding. Very good. We didn't die. But we also didn't make it to orbit. Why? Okay class, keep those fuckles buckled. Today, we're learning basic...
You know what? In this image, he should have a small speaker here. That every time he, pushes a button and on and off, whenever the Vsauce music plays, like he's the one playing that. That would be more funny. This is so good, man. Playing Michael's Vsauce music is just literal perfection at this video.
Class, keep those fuckles buckled. Today, we're learning basic orbital mechanics. Among some other things. First off, why do we shoot parts off the rocket? Why not instead just make a long noodly rocket that has all the fuel in a single tank? I'll tell you why.
Dead weight.
Mass. When these tanks are
Also
empty, they
losing
still
mass.
contribute mass to the vessel. Hey, psst, hey, Kevin. What equation is Newton most famous for? That's right, force equals mass times acceleration. Oh yeah. If we do some high-level algebra, we can rearrange this and get acceleration is force divided by mass. When the mass is lower, the acceleration is higher. Thus, eliminating excess mass makes you go faster. Very nice. After ditching our first 3 solid rocket booster stages, we get this special engine on our last stage. This is a liquid-fueled engine. Instead of burning a solid propellant, it mixes fuel and oxidizer inside the engine to create the hot gas. Liquid engines are much more efficient than solid boosters and can be throttled and even turned off. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, solid boosters can't be turned off. Once you start them, they go. And go. And go. Liquid-fueled engines are pretty cool, but they come with a price. Literally. Just the engine, without the fuel on this rocket, costs as much as all 3 of the solid rocket boosters combined. So solid boosters make economical sense for sections that don't need the greatest efficiency.
Okay.
Now of course, the elephant in the room. No, not that elephant. He's purely ornamental.
It's literally...
Our failure to reach orbit. Gravity. Gravity pulls at all objects with mass. Our spacecraft has mass, thus it is subject to gravity. Wow. Gravity pulls with a force depending on how far away from the body you are. If the mass and distance are kept constant, the force is also kept constant. Meaning, if you can generate enough force in the opposite direction, you can fly. Now of course, there are many ways to... Dude, really? You're just gonna fucking stand there? Come on dude, get out of here, bro. As I was saying, there are many ways to generate force. Wings, brakes, engines, parachutes, magnets, electric fields, mass, just straight up pushing on shit. You get the idea. But today we want to look at centripetal and centrifugal forces. Both of these forces exist when something is rotating. Well, technically centrifugal force doesn't actually exist, but I'll leave that as an exercise for you to explain. Answer in the comments. Do it now.
Centrifugal force is not really a force because it's just, it's constant turning that we feel as a force.
The common example is a ball on the end of a string. Centripetal force is the force that the string exerts on the ball, while centrifugal force is the force that the ball experiences in the opposite direction. Now how does this relate to Obama Prism 3? Well, as you probably have experienced, the faster you spin a ball in a string, the harder it pulls away from you. This means that our imaginary centrifugal force is increasing. Once it goes past the force generated by gravity, we achieve orbit. But we didn't do that, so on to... For this mission, we're going with a complete redesign. We've ditched the Obama Prism nomenclature? We've ditched Obama Prism and moved on to... casting couch? Oh yep. It's got thicker thighs and more rocket juice for the liquid stage. Hopefully this time, we'll reach orbit.
Yeah, so see, fun fact. If you were to, make one full orbit, right, around the Earth, it would take you 45 minutes, right? In the low Earth orbit, if you make a full turn, 45 minutes at that speed. Otherwise, you would, if any more speed, you would basically shoot out. Any less speed, you would just crash to the Earth. It would take 45 minutes. If you, drill a hole to the center of the Earth, right, and you basically jump down, ignoring all the other issues. If you jump, it would take still 45 minutes to get to the other side, and yeah. So that's the gravity is so fucking awesome because of that. If you orbit, basically, obviously your speed would be higher if you're orbiting, but it would take you 45 minutes. If you jump into the hole, that would also take you 45 minutes.
Let's launch. And would you look at that, an actual orbit. We've done it, lads. We'll be at Proxima Centauri in no time. But we're just about out of fuel, so we'll deorbit. Wow, would you look at that? It's hot. Very hot, in fact. So
Gas
hot
on
that
fire.
it's learning time. Friction. Friction is all around us. Have you ever walked? Friction. Moved in a car and then stopped moving in a car? Friction. Rubbed two metal plates together so hard they form a robust friction weld? Friction. That last one is important. It demonstrates how friction generates lots of heat.
Yeah, basically surface tension, right? Friction basically comes from that. So friction is in everything. Surface tension applies to everything. That is one of the most important thing there is. Without that, most thing wouldn't work.
So tell me, Kevin, why is there a giant plasma flare around casting couch? Friction?
Shut up.
Yes. In case you didn't realize, our craft is moving really, really fast. Over 2,000 meters per second, in fact, which translates to roughly 32,927 Big Macs stacked vertically every single second. Pretty quick. As you can imagine, this means we have lots of kinetic energy. If you've ever ridden a bike with disc brakes, you'd know that using the brakes converts your speed into heat within the brakes.
Yeah.
Fuck! Exact same principle here, just with much more speed. The amount of kinetic energy something has is related to the square of the velocity. This sounds kinda complicated, but it just means that when you double your speed, you quadruple your energy.
Yeah.
So casting couch has a huge amount of energy. Hence, when it slows down, giant plasma flare. Nice. Nope. Launch 5 is boring.
What?
In Launch 5, we did a quick shoot past the moon. We got some decent science, but it was boring. Now we're on Launch 6. The goal of Launch 6 is simple. Land on the moon, and come back. For this job, we have yet again created the most powerful rocket ever built. Obama Prism.
Alright, you should have used that JFK clip here. We go to the moon, not because...
4,
This rocket uses 2 SRBs mounted to a large inner stage. The upper stage has a special liquid engine and a lot of fuel for it to drink. Let's launch. Orbit achieved, but we keep going.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. Valentina hops out the pod and plants our first extraterrestrial flag. What do we say in this great and profound moment? Do we honor the engineers and scientists that brought us here? Do we honor the late Obama Prism 2 and Jeb? Do we thank our pet goldfish for giving us the strength to continue when we needed it most? No. Instead, we carefully inscribed the plaque with pee-pee, poo-poo, come. Astounding.
That's humanity at its peak. That's it? Oh. Okay.
Okay, I'm bored. Let's go home.
Break his neck. Oh, look at the space, stars and everything. Fucking hell, looks good. I know it's just a simple image, but still. Look at this one, smiling constantly. Success.
And there we have it. We went to the moon and didn't die. But how? Nope, that's enough. I would do the next lesson, but it looks like we're out of time. And more importantly, I'm getting a little sick of it. So it looks like we'll have to wait for next episode. That's right, there will be another episode. But you might need to wait. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel.
Alright, that's it. That's the teacher who cares, apparently. You better learn.
Now. All of the Korea gameplay in this video is taken from YouTube live streams I've been doing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this was fucking great. You know what, the creators like Martin, even Seth, obviously Seth's not gonna do it, but creators like Martin, Seth, everybody, Maxer, so just, you know, do let's play type of games a lot, and, you know, different games like this, like some simulators here and there, something that feels interesting, play as much as they can and then create videos like this. That would be so good. This was fucking awesome video. Martin is such a great channel, martincitopants. His jokes are just different and great, right? It's a bit different from Seth, but it kind of feels similar to Internet Historian at some time. But yeah, this is a great set. There are more parts of it. Obviously there's part 2. Jeb is there and we killed him. The game looks so good so far with every simulator part of it. I like this, whatever Kerbals or whatever they're called, walking around like that. Yeah. Right, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards, check out the ink cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.